Discover 7 incredible life-changing speeches that will touch your heart before everything changes. Clara stood at the diner's counter, its worn surface a witness to laughter and tears, and she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Elmwood was a town painted in shades of gray, where ambition and dreams often felt futile. But those 7 speeches, each a beacon of hope, echoed in her mind. They were more than words, they were paths to change, whispers of inspiration that promised to challenge the status quo. She could almost hear the buzz of excitement from the community, yet beneath it lay an undercurrent of doubt. "Clara, you're a natural," her boss, a sturdy figure with flour-dusted hands, encouraged. "You've got a voice to lift us all." His belief ignited something in her, stirring her heart like the aroma of fresh-baked pies. She thought of her parents, aging and weary, and of Jake, her younger brother with dreams larger than the small town allowed. Each meal served to teary-eyed patrons held stories of struggle, stories she yearned to weave into her speech. One night, as she cleared plates, an elderly man shared his battle with depression after losing his job. Tears welled in his eyes, and Clara's chest tightened. She saw in him the embodiment of their town's fading spirit. She wanted to pay tribute to these silent battles. She envisioned a speech that would celebrate their resilience, a reminder that they still mattered in the broader landscape. The buzz of the upcoming Elmwood Community Charity echoing in the diner projected hopes and fears alike. As Clara prepared her speech, every phrase felt like a brushstroke on a canvas of turmoil. But when Gerald Hall, a towering figure of local business, openly mocked the town's struggles during an event, it rattled her core. "Isn't it time you all realize dreams don't come true here?" he sneered, and the whispers that followed cut deeper than any blade. Clara clenched her fists, torn between anger and despair. Could she truly make a difference? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The days turned into a blur, and each moment in the diner became a thread in her speech's tapestry. The warmth of families gathered for dinner, the sound of laughter punctuating the air, all became her fuel. Clara stood on the cusp of something monumental, yet the looming competition filled her with dread. Would her voice resonate, or would it be silenced like the fading neon signs around town? On the night of her final rehearsal, she found herself surrounded by friends and family. Their faces shone with hope, and for the first time, she believed she could articulate their pain. But then a loud crash shattered the atmosphere. A patron stumbled, spilling coffee everywhere, and Clara's heart raced. Was this a metaphor for her life? Chaos threatening to drown her voice. As Clara stood there, the weight of uncertainty crushed her, yet the determination to rise intertwined with the fear. Would she choose to retreat, or could she find the strength within to stand up for everyone who had ever felt small? With the competition merely days away, she realized that this wasn't just about her speech. It was about her town, the faded hopeful hearts yearning for validation. And she was ready to fight for them, come what may. Clara paced nervously in her small bedroom, the worn wooden floor creaking under her feet like an old friend reminding her of home. She glanced at the mirror, the reflection staring back at her was both familiar and foreign. Shadows of doubt clouded her eyes, yet a flicker of determination sparked within her. The event was just hours away, and the weight of the speeches weighed heavy on her heart, but they also ignited a fire. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath and recalling the faces of those who depended on her words. Mrs. Whitaker, who always sat alone in the corner booth, her eyes reflecting a lifetime of stories. The teenagers from the high school, hanging on her every word, seeking something more than what the town could offer. Each person had their own burdens, stories that clamored to be told. Clara had become their voice, but now that voice felt shaky, vulnerable. Then, she thought of Jake. Her brother had just turned 16, full of dreams that could light up Elmwood. She envisioned him standing proudly alongside her, his youthful energy the antidote to her fears. If anyone needed encouragement to chase dreams, it was him. She couldn't let Gerald Hall's words dictate her brother's future or the future of the whole town. With each passing minute, her fear of failing morphed into a longing to make her community proud. It was more than just a speech, it was an anthem for the forgotten, a rallying cry for unity. She opened her notebook, pages filled with scratched notes and crossed-out phrases, symbols of her struggle. "See on, Clara, you can do this," she whispered to herself, her voice small yet powerful. Her hands traced the words she had written, "We are not just survivors, we are dreamers." The phrase danced in her mind, urging her to commit. As she rehearsed in front of her reflection, she projected her voice boldly, allowing her emotions to cascade through every word. "When we come together, we create a mosaic of hope stronger than any single voice. We are a tapestry woven with dreams." Suddenly, there was a knock on her door. It was her mother, standing there with a worried smile. "Honey, are you ready?" Clara felt her insides clench. "I'm trying. What if my words aren't enough? What if I fail them?" Her mother stepped inside, her eyes soft with understanding. "Clara, you're not alone in this. You have the weight of our stories behind you. Speak from your heart, and you'll be giving every one of us a chance." Those words cascaded through Clara, lifting the heavy fog of worry. She realized at that moment the competition wasn't merely about winning, it was about transforming fears into something meaningful. What lay ahead was less of a test and more of an opportunity to ignite the spark of hope in every weary heart in Elmwood, including her OWN.as. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting warm tones across the sky. Clara could hear the distant hum of the charity event preparing in the town hall, a space where dreams would collide with reality. With one final glance in the mirror, she felt a surge of purpose. She stepped out of her room, ready to face the crowd, her feet grounded in resolve. Yet deep within, a tremor of uncertainty lingered. Would her words truly touch them? Would she inspire? The community had been through so much pain, could she find the strength to guide them through? With her heart pounding, Clara made her way to the steps leading to town hall. Each step felt like a question weighing heavy in the air. What awaited her on that stage? As she approached the entrance, her breath caught. It was now or never. Would she rise, or would she falter? So much depended on this moment. Clara pushed the door open, the familiar smell of polished wood and fresh paint greeting her. She stepped into the hall, its high ceiling adorned with twinkling fairy lights. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement and anticipation, the chatter of families and friends creating a warm cocoon around her. Yet, among the crowd, she felt like a solitary island, different, unsure. As she entered, several people glanced in her direction, their smiles bright and encouraging, but Clara's heartbeat drowned out their murmurs. She forced herself to look beyond her fear, recognizing familiar faces, Mrs. Whitaker and a few teens from school, their eyes glimmering with hope, waiting expectantly. "Clara," a voice called out, cutting through the noise. It was Jake, bouncing on the balls of his feet, his smile wide and infectious. He rushed toward her, and she could see his excitement mirrored in the eyes of their friends. "Are you ready? You're going to crush it." "Thanks, Jake," she replied, trying to mask her nerves with a smile. His confidence felt like a lifeline, her brother believed in her, and that gave her strength, but doubts crept back. What if she let him down? What if all the months of preparation faded into nothing more than a stammered attempt at inspiration? She took a deep breath, determined to push those thoughts aside, centering on the faces looking at her, faces of the community that needed her voice. Clara's attention shifted as the event organizer stepped up to the makeshift stage, calling for silence. "Welcome, everyone. Tonight is not just about the speeches, it's about our community and the dreams we all share." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Clara's heart raced with a mix of excitement and unease. "Next up, we have Clara Miller," the organizer announced, gesturing toward her. It felt like the room spiraled into silence, the spotlight settling like a warm blanket against her skin. Clara's legs turned to lead as she made her way toward the stage, each step echoing with a resounding beat of her heart. Memories flooded her mind. These people had faced tough times together. They had watched each other grapple with loss, celebrate joys, and now, they were gathered to embrace hope. She grabbed the microphone, her fingers tingling as she touched the metal, grounding her scattered thoughts. "Hi, everyone. She swallowed hard, finding her voice easier in the calmness of the moment. "I want to share something important." The crowd hushed, their eyes intently focused. With every word that followed, she poured out her heart, her dreams for Elmwood. She spoke about resilience, the bonds of community, and how the stories of every person there were like woven threads in a beautiful tapestry. "As we stand together," Clara continued, feeling her energy rise, "we are the dreamers, the builders of our future. We can transform our fears into passion." As she spoke, the anxiety that had gripped her heart began to dissipate. Genuine smiles began to emerge across the audience. She could see them leaning forward, drawn in by her words, then she paused, feeling the weight of their combined hopes. "It's not just about me being up here. It's about us, our journey together. So let us embrace who we are and rise above what has held us down." Cheers erupted instantly, echoing like a wave of encouragement rolling back toward her. The energy in the room shifted, a vibrant force tethering them together. Clara felt uplifted, a smile breaking on her face as she connected with each person. But just as her heart swelled with hope, she noticed Gerald Hall standing at the back, arms crossed, his expression stern. A chill ran down her spine. Would he crush this moment? Would his negativity dim the light she had just ignited? As she stood there, gathering her thoughts, Clara realized this wasn't just a speech but a battle for her community's spirit. Would she confront the shadow that loomed behind her, or would she let it stifle the light they'd all just found together? The air pulsed with anticipation, and she knew this was just the beginning. What would happen next? Would the fear-fueled voices gain strength, or would Clara spark an unyielding fire of resolve? Clara stood at the edge of her newfound courage, the microphone cradled in her hands like a lifeline. The cheers and applause mingled with her racing thoughts, sparking a determination to not only face her own fears but to stand firm against whatever storm lurked in the back of the room. "Gerald!" She called out, her voice steady, surprising even herself. His gaze snapped to hers, eyebrows knitting together. "I know you might think community dreams are just that, dreams. But every remarkable journey begins with hope." There was a heartbeat of silence, the crowd holding its breath. Clara felt the electricity of the moment, and it pushed her to keep going. "You taught us all that change doesn't just happen overnight. We've weathered storms together, and we've learned that there's strength in unity." Gerald uncrossed his arms, a flicker of confusion crossing his demeanor. She wasn't sure if she had ignited something or if she had stepped into dangerously deep waters, but she couldn't back down now. "Look around you." Clara gestured broadly, inviting everyone to share in this moment. "This community is built on a foundation of love, resilience, and hope. We've pulled together in tough times, and there's nothing we can't overcome if we stand united." The audience erupted again, cheers and claps echoing like a heartbeat, pulsing through the hall. Clara felt herself lift, buoyed by a tide of belief that began to wash over her. She wasn't just up there delivering a speech. She was a torchbearer, lighting the path for others. Even Gerald's face began to transform, the sharp lines softening into something almost hopeful. Clara's breath hitched, and she pressed on. "Together, we can turn our stories of loss into stories of triumph. Together, let us not only dream about change but be the change." The room vibrated with unity. Suddenly, a small voice echoed from the back. "What about the struggles? What if we fail?" It was a girl, probably no older than 12, her eyes wide with apprehension. Clara felt a tug at her heart. "Hey," she said softly, "failures are just stepping stones to success. Each stumble teaches us more than standing still ever will. We'll stumble sure. But each time we get back up, we grow stronger. Together. The girl's face brightened, and her small nod felt monumental. Encouraged, Clara continued, just like the seasons change, we will find ways to blossom in every circumstance. Let us make choices today that elevate our tomorrow. Applause thundered, the spirits in the room bounced back and forth like sunlight dancing on a clear lake. Clara could see the renewed light on their faces, a collective lifting of weight that had burdened them for too long. But there was still Gerald, lingering at the edge. His stone-like demeanor remained, eyes evaluating, calculating. It didn't quell her rising fervor to spark something deeper. Clara took a deep breath, gathering whatever conviction she had. So, Elmwood, are we ready to stand together, despite the shadows that may try to hold us back? Are we ready to keep dreaming, keep fighting? Yes. The crowd roared, like a wave crashing upon a shore. As she stepped back from the microphone, the exhilaration swirling in her chest felt overwhelming. The challenge now wasn't just about facing her own fears but igniting a flame of passion within everyone present. She was fully aware that not all transformations would be immediate, some would falter, but one thing was certain: this was only the beginning. What legacy would they forge together? What battles lay ahead, and would Gerald join them in this newfound fight for hope? Clara scanned the crowd, confidence gleaming in her heart. She knew the night held secrets yet to be uncovered, and she was hungry to uncover them all. As the applause began to fade, Clara noticed Gerald still standing, arms crossed tighter than ever. His expression was an enigma, not quite rejecting her words but certainly not embracing them either. She felt a surge of frustration mixed with hope. She needed him on their side. Gerald, she called again, stepping closer to the edge of the stage. What do you think? His brow furrowed deeper, and the murmurs of the audience quieted as they turned their attention to him. For a moment, it felt as if time stood still, a palpable tension hung in the air. Clara's heart raced. She stood on the precipice of change, and his reaction mattered profoundly. I think he hesitated, letting the words tug at the weight of silence. I think dreams are only as good as the effort we put into them. Hope is nice, but it won't fix our problems. The crowd leaned in, hope mixing with curiosity as they hung on his every word. Clara felt a fresh wave of determination wash over her. That's true. She exclaimed, urgency threading her voice. But hope ignites the fire that fuels our efforts. Without it, we're simply wandering in the dark. Gerald's eyes narrowed, considering. Words are easy. Actions are tougher. What will you do when the light dims? Clara inhaled sharply, the challenge driving her. We create our own light, she replied, barely keeping her emotions in check. By working together. One step, one plan at a time. Let us start a community project to uplift the youth in Elmwood, to be the hands that lift each other. A ripple of enthusiasm sparked through the crowd, fanning the flames of their collective spirit. The young girl who had questioned Clara nodded fiercely, eyes shining brightly, embodying the potential of their unity. The audience erupted again, but Clara's gaze stayed locked on Gerald, hoping to see a hint of warmth in his stone-cold composure. Instead, he simply shook his head, a rueful smile creeping at the corner of his mouth. You really believe in this, don't you? Yes. Clara answered, heat surging through her. I believe in us. Together, we can turn the tide, and even if we face setbacks, we'll have each other to lean on. Gerald took a step forward, finally releasing his arms. You could get hurt out there, Clara. What makes you think you won? Because every single one of us has the power to rise again. She shot back, voice breaking with fervor. Every setback is a lesson, and every lesson leads us closer to our dreams. The crowd erupted in applause once more, the atmosphere shifting as her words rolled like thunder, sweeping up their doubts and fears. Clara's heart drummed aggressively, yet the fear she once felt was now replaced with commitment to her mission. Elmwood. She called out, embracing the moment. Let us forge those stepping stones together. No one deserves to walk alone in these struggles. As the energy filled the hall, she caught Gerald's gaze again. He appeared deep in thought, the weight of their shared history hanging between them. Clara knew she was making headway even if he didn't step in today, he was at least considering their journey. Just then, beneath the renewed vigor and enthusiasm, Clara spotted a familiar face in the back glistening in the dim light. It was Ethan, someone she hadn't seen in years. Their friendship had faded with time, lost in the worries of adulthood. But seeing him now rekindled a flurry of memories that brought warmth to her heart. "Ethan!" she called out, her voice ringing with excitement. Yet, all too quickly, that excitement turned into worry. Ethan's expression wasn't animated, it was concerned. "Why?" As Clara took a step towards him, the atmosphere suddenly shifted again. Whispers surged through the crowd, a current of uncertainty threading its way through the room. Clara's heart sank. Something else loomed, something she hadn't anticipated. What unwelcome news had Ethan brought, and would it change everything she had just ignited? Clara's heart hammered in her chest as she made her way through the crowd, each step heavier than the last. She could feel the eyes of the audience on her, their attention still gripped by the infectious energy she had stirred moments before. But now, the connection felt tenuous, hanging by a thread. Ethan stood there, his brow furrowed and lips pressed tightly, conveying an unspoken message that sent a chill through her. The warmth she felt when she first spotted him was beginning to fade under the weight of uncertainty. "Ethan, what's wrong?" Clara asked, crossing the remaining distance between them. She caught his eye, searching for a glimmer of reassurance. But all she saw was a shadow of concern. He hesitated, taking a measured breath. "Clara, I came as soon as I heard. There's been talk about the funding for community programs. The city is cutting back, and Elmwood is at risk of losing vital support." The words hit Clara like a punch in the gut. "What do you mean?" "We just had a breakthrough," she exclaimed, glancing back at the crowd, a sea of eager faces now clouded by the news. She thought about the youth who had rallied around her ideas, the hope she'd inspired. Would it all come crashing down because of some bureaucratic decision? Ethan stepped closer, his voice low. "I know, and I'm not saying it's the end. But the timing couldn't be worse. You just ignited this passion among the people," and now he trailed off, his eyes filled with sympathy. "Do you think I should stop?" Clara asked, a mix of frustration and fear bubbling up inside her. "I can't just let it all go now. There was so much potential." Ethan shook his head. "That's not what I'm saying. You've stirred something special here, Clara. But if we don't act fast, then what?" She interrupted, her heart racing. "We let the momentum die. Our hopes decreased because someone in an office decided to cut the budget. No. We'll find a way. I want to let this end before it gets a real chance." She turned back to the audience, who were still engrossed, their energy a powerful current waiting to be directed. Clara felt the embers of determination reignite within her. "Listen up, Elmwood. We face challenges, but we can't let fear stop us. We must stand strong together." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, sparking something deeper. Clara could feel it, the shared resilience, the collective heart beating in unison. The weight of their shared struggles bonded them. She pressed on, her voice steady yet charged. "I'll organize a town meeting. We can share our stories, rally support, advocate for what we need. It starts here, with us fearless and united." People raised their hands, voices lifting as they cheered in response. The air grew heavy with purpose, a palpable energy driving them all forward. Clara glanced at Gerald, still watching from the sidelines, disbelief mingling with admiration on his face, but Ethan's worried gaze lingered, reminding her of the uncertainties they faced. "What if it's not enough?" he whispered, the doubt seeping back into the space between them. Clara met his eyes, drawing strength from her own convictions. "Then we fight harder." As the crowd erupted in renewed applause, fueled by her unwavering spirit, Clara took a deep breath. But amidst the fervor, an unsettling thought flickered in her mind: what if they couldn't overcome the looming threats? She knew this battle was just beginning, and the stakes were higher than ever. Would she be able to stand tall against the encroaching shadows? Would the bond they forged hold strong when reality hit? The next chapter awaited, and Clara's heart raced with both hope and fear. What would they face next, and would their unity be enough to stand against the challenges ahead? Clara's voice echoed through the hall, but it was the cacophony of emotion in the crowd that gripped her tighter than any applause. People kept shouting and raising their hands in fervent agreement. Yet behind the excitement, Clara could still feel the disquiet that Ethan carried. "Clara, can we talk?" Ethan's voice cut through the cheers. There was urgency in his tone, a tension that pulled at the fabric of the moment. She nodded, leading him away from the heart of the crowd where concerns loomed heavier than confetti. "What is it?" Her brow furrowed, worry dancing in her chest. "The funding isn't the only issue," he said, glancing back to ensure no one was eavesdropping. "There are factions in the community that didn't support your idea. They're angry about the direction you want to take us in." Her resolve faltered for a heartbeat. "Angry? Why?" "There are people who fear change. They want things to stay the same to keep what little funding we have under the old ways. They think your direction will push the city away instead of bringing it closer." His words felt like a sharp breeze on a chilly day. "Do they not see the need for this change? We can't just cling to the past indefinitely." "I know," he said, lowering his voice. "But fear often outweighs hope. I think they might attempt to disrupt the town meeting. We have to be ready." Clara inhaled sharply, her mind racing. This was bigger than she had imagined. The stakes weren't just about money or programs. It was about shifting mindsets, breaking barriers that had stood longer than she had been alive. "Then we need to herd every voice willing to fight for change," she stated, determination sparking anew. "The meeting is about gathering strength. I'll invite everyone, not just supporters. We need everyone in that room to hear what we stand to lose if we don't act." Ethan's face lit up, though a shadow still lingered behind his eyes. "That's a brave plan. But if they show up to oppose you, Clara, I can handle opposition," she said firmly. "This isn't just about me anymore. It's about Elmwood, our future. I have to protect that." As they rejoined the enthusiastic crowd, a jolt of adrenaline surged through Clara. For every doubter, there would be 10 hopefuls ready to fight for what they believed in. She felt the feet pounding and voices lifting all around her, forming a powerful anthem of resilience. "Listen up, everyone," Clara called, the crowd quieting to hear her. "I want you all to not just come to our town meeting, bring your friends, your families, and even those who disagree with us. We will show them the strength of Elmwood." A wave of positivity washed over the audience, hands clapping and feet thumping against the ground. Clara's heart soared with connection as joy met determination. She saw Gerald among the faces, the confusion slowly melting off him as clarity took its place, but as the meeting solidified in plans, she couldn't shake the lingering doubts. What if the opposition was stronger than she anticipated? Would it shake the foundation she'd built in a mere breath? Later, as she prepared notes and gathered her courage, a message pinged on her phone. It was from an unknown number. She opened it, and her insides twisted. "We know what you're planning. You want to win. Stay away or face consequences." Clara's breath hitched. She wasn't just fighting for her vision anymore. She was standing on a battlefield now, her heart pounding with fear and determination. As she looked out into the night sky, a single thought echoed in her mind. Would she be ready to face the consequences, whatever they may be? The town meeting was just around the corner, and she felt the world tilting beneath her feet, every heartbeat a countdown to her moment of truth. What was waiting for her on the other side of that door? Clara paced her living room, the dim light casting shadows on the walls, echoing her swirling thoughts. The message still throbbed in her mind, a cold reminder of the stakes at play. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her chest, constricting her breath. She needed to find a way to channel this swirling despair into something tangible, something powerful. She glanced at the scattered papers littering her coffee table, notes sparking with hope and visions of Elmwood transformed. A thought flickered to life. If the opposition tried to silence her, she would outshine them with the collective voices of a community yearning for change. Ethan arrived a few moments later, concern etched across his face. "You look worried," he said softly, stepping into the warmth of the room before glancing over the chaotic notes. "Because I am," she admitted, biting her lip. "They sent me a threat, Ethan. They want me to back down, but I can't do that. I won tea." He stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his touch grounding her. "You have to remember, Clara, for every person against you, there are others who believe in you. You can rally them, build a wall of support." She nodded, determination settling in her bones. "You're right. I'll put together a speech that ignites passion, draws people in, and reminds them why we're fighting." Excitement charged the air as they brainstormed. Ideas flowed like a river, each word knitting a tapestry of hope and resilience. Clara visualized a packed room, filled with faces, some familiar, others not, each craving change, each eager to join the fight. "Let's call the local radio station. Generate some buzz," Ethan suggested, his eyes brightening. "If we can get people talking, it'll create momentum." They rushed into action, dialing numbers, crafting messages that bubbled with hope. Clara's heart raced with excitement, a healthy flare of nerves igniting her spirit. Anyone against them would be drowned out by the swell of support she aimed to gather. Perhaps it was her imagination, or maybe it was the growing network of eager voices, but together they seemed to shift the winds in their favor. As they worked late into the night, Clara felt a glimmer of triumph against the encroaching darkness. She practiced her speech, words rolling off her tongue, menacing whispers from her phone fading into the background. "We can't afford to let fear paralyze us," she declared in front of the mirror. "The future of Elmwood lies in our hands. If we don't sue for change, we risk losing everything." Ethan watched her, admiration shining in his eyes. "You're ready for this, Clara. Just remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real." She smiled, the warmth of his support wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. But despite their success that night, Clara couldn't shake the grip of uncertainty. There was danger lurking, and she could sense it, a chilling hint that the opposition was more organized than anyone realized. The day of the town meeting dawned. Clara stood before the mirror one last time, smoothing her hair. Her resolve was strong, yet her heart raced with trepidation. What would happen when she stepped onto that stage? Would the gathering support eclipse her enmity, or would their fears ignite chaos in the hall? As she stepped out into the bustling town, she felt the world shift beneath her. Each breath became a prayer for bravery, every heartbeat a countdown. She squared her shoulders, pushing back against the tide of doubt, but the weight of the unknown loomed larger. Would being real be enough? Ahead, the town hall loomed like a fortress, both inviting and forbidding. Clara took a deep breath. She knew she was diving into the heart of battle today. The storm was brewing, and she was at the center of it, and as she stepped forward, the unknown churned with anticipation, whispering one haunting question: would she emerge victorious, or would this be the end of everything she believed in? Clara stood at the entrance of the town hall, peering into the crowd that had gathered. Faces were a blend of curiosity and apprehension, each one reflecting the varying shades of hope she had felt all week. As she took a step forward, the chill in the air wrapped around her, making her shiver. Would they stand with her, or would they falter under pressure? She spotted familiar faces, neighbors who supported her cause, friends she had strengthened through shared struggles. Their eyes sparkled with encouragement, a silent plea for her to rally them toward the dream of a better Elmwood. Clara's stomach twisted, but she knew her chance to ignite change had come. "All right, Clara. You've got this," she whispered to herself, taking a deep breath. She moved toward the stage, her heart pounding in her chest. Each step felt heavier, the anticipation thickening the air around her. As she climbed the stairs, the murmurs died down. The room seemed to hold its breath. Clara stood in front of the microphone, feeling the weight of their gazes upon her. She opened her mouth, but the words caught in her throat for a brief moment. Instead, she took a deep breath, scanning the crowd. Each face was a reminder of why she had fought so hard. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steadying. "We gather today not just as individuals, but as a community. We're here to voice our dreams, to protect our future, to ensure that Elmwood remains a place we love and cherish." Applause erupted, echoing against the walls. Clara felt a surge of energy as she continued, pouring her heart out. "But it's not just about us. It's about the children who will grow up in this town. It's about our environment, our resources, and our legacy. If we don't fight for what we believe in, we risk letting fear dictate our reality." As she spoke, she noticed a storm in the back of the room. A group of opposition supporters shuffled uncomfortably, their faces hardening with anger. Clara's mind whirred. They weren't just here for a friendly discussion, they were gearing up for a challenge. Her instinct was to recoil, but as she locked eyes with her supporters, determination surged through her veins. She raised her voice. "I was threatened for speaking up. But every time I felt alone, I remembered that I am not just one voice. I am a part of a chorus of many. Together, we can obliterate the doubts that hold us captive. Together, we can transform Elmwood into a shining beacon of hope and resilience." The applause grew, swelling with fervor. Clara's heart swelled, filling her with warmth. "Yes, we will face obstacles. But does that mean we should stay silent? No. We will rise, together. We will not let fear paralyze us." Chants erupted from the crowd, rhythmic and fierce. Clara's breath came in quick bursts as adrenaline rushed through her. She gestured toward the opposition. "We might have different opinions, but let us focus on coming together instead of breaking each other apart." Suddenly, the head of the opposition stood up, his hands raised in frustration. "You don't understand what you're doing. This isn't just about dreams. You're putting everything we've built at risk." His words struck hard, and Clara felt the air in the room change. Doubts began creeping back in, threatening to unravel her. But she grasped the edge of the podium, steadying herself. "No, what's at risk is our chance for a future. I refuse to be bullied into silence. We will discuss our differences, but let us do so civilly and with respect." This time, the applause came louder, drowning out the dissent. Clara's confidence started to flounder in the push and pull of the crowd's energy. Did she have the power to unite them in this moment? The tension became palpable, and Clara knew she was standing on a precipice. One wrong word could tip the scales. The moment stretched, drawing out the anticipation as the crowd waited for her next move. She had their attention, and now she needed their trust, but deep down, a voice echoed in the silence. Was her call for unity strong enough to withstand the brewing dissent? Clara could feel the storm surge, and she wondered if she would be able to weather it. As the meeting continued, her resolve hung in the balance. What would her next words be? Would the strength she felt in that moment last, or would it shatter under pressure? The stakes were higher than ever, and Clara was about to find out just how powerful the community's voice could be. Clara stood firm at the podium, her heart racing against the silence that followed her bold declaration. The air hung heavy with anticipation, a thick tension that seemed to vibrate with every heartbeat. She scanned the room, taking in both supporters and skeptics, feeling the weight of their hopes and fears resting on her shoulders. Gerald Hall sat close to the front, arms crossed tightly. His expression was a mix of skepticism and curiosity, and Clara caught his gaze. It pushed her resolve to a new level. This was a moment that transcended mere words. It was an opportunity to build bridges even amidst dissent. The head of the opposition spoke again, his voice louder this time. "And what makes you think your dreams will win against decades of tradition?" His question prompted a ripple of murmurs through the crowd. Clara swallowed hard, feeling the pressure mounting, but deep within, she found her footing. Before speaking, she closed her eyes for a heartbeat, recalling the faces of everyone who had walked into the diner, sharing their stories, their struggles, their unyielding hope. Because hope is stronger than fear. My dreams are not just mine, they belong to each one of you, every family in this town. We have all fought battles, felt the sting of disappointment, and yet here we are, gathered together. Her voice rang clear and steady, breaking through the murmurs. Applause erupted again, spilling over like water from a full cup. Clara felt the energy shift in the room. People were leaning in, wanting to listen, to participate. I understand that change can feel dangerous, but stagnation can have dire consequences too. If we cling to only what we know, we risk losing everything. A young girl in the front raised her hand. What can we do? The innocence of the question struck Clara right in the chest. This was exactly why she was there. We come together to let our voices be heard. We plan community projects that will instill pride and excitement again. We collect stories of our struggles and triumphs that will not only echo within our walls but reach far beyond our town. Clara noticed a few heads nodding, saw someone whispering to a friend and sharing determined looks. Ethan pushed his way to the front, waving his arms to catch Clara's attention. Let us start a fundraise. We need concrete plans and events that involve everyone. We can even invite the local media. His suggestion sparked a wave of chatter, and the idea buzzed through the crowd like electricity. Clara seized the opportunity. Yes. We can invite everyone. Not just those who agree with us. Let us show what we, the people of Elmwood, stand for. Cheers erupted, and she felt emboldened. Let us hold forums that allow even the most reluctant voices to be heard. Because this isn't just about them or us, this is about us, and that means we all compare our aspirations, our dreams, our hearts. Gerald finally unfolded his arms, his expression shifting to one of intrigue. Clara pressed on, her voice a blend of passion and urgency. These are not just ideas, we're planting seeds of change within our community. Together, we will cultivate something beautiful, we will grow something that no one can take away. As energy surged, Clara's heart swelled with conviction. Perhaps they could become the changemakers they dreamed of, together. So, Elmwood. Are we ready to face our fears shoulder to shoulder? Are we ready to shift the narrative and define our own future? The crowd erupted in applause. In that moment, Clara knew they weren't just beginning to fight against a threat. This was the start of a movement. Gerald yielded under the wave of support bubbling up around them, a glimmer of respect finding its way onto his face. His body language shifted, and for the first time, Clara saw hope shining through the cloud of skepticism. I have spent my life believing in tradition, he finally spoke. But you've made me question that, Clara. Maybe it's time to evolve. Gasps of surprise punctuated the air as the audience processed his words. He stepped forward, a hesitant smile pulling at the corners of his mouth. I'm in. Let us unify Elmwood. Let us evolve. And just like that, Gerald's transformation spilled over into the crowd, igniting an overwhelming tidal wave of acceptance. The audience moved as one, embracing the idea that change wasn't something to fear, but to celebrate. Clara could feel tears prickling at the corners of her eyes as she received nods and cheers, a sweet symphony of community rising from the heart of Elmwood. As the meeting drew to a close, the air thrummed with new possibility. Clara looked out at the sea of faces shimmering with renewed energy, a melting pot of dreams ready to take flight. She realized that this was the moment they had all been waiting for. They would no longer let fear dictate their path, they would pave the way forward, together. Later, as Clara stepped outside into the cool evening air, she lifted her face to the sky, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. Elmwood had beneath its surface a vast potential waiting to erupt, and now, they would rise together. Now, they were ready for whatever came next. You need to subscribe now to the channel to witness the next incredible journey and not miss the exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support for the community we're building here. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us spread our message beyond these borders. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who desperately need to see this transformation. Together, we can inspire change.